the Kathina robe, which is being sewn over on the other side of the building. I hear it's going well. We think it may be ready in the not too distant future. So we're hoping for that at the time of 3:30, that will be our parade time. We hope the robe might be done and ready to go by that time. We'll see. This is the fun of Kathina, is not knowing exactly when that's robe is going to be done. But here we all are gathered together, and welcome to all. I'd like to welcome our Board of Directors President, Susie Sisakun Plix. If you'd like to come up, would you like to share a few words of welcome also? There's, yes, let me give you this microphone. Can you hand that over to her? Oh, hang on. Okay. Post the, yeah.
Thank you. Greeting everyone.
Can we switch the camera so Susie is on the Zoom?
Thank you, Kathina, for your organization. I'm so grateful and delighted that we are all here together once again this year to be able to come together to put in support and belief in the relationship between the monastics and the supporting communities, which is the heart and the center of how Buddhism is being sustained and generate of years after year, because we both are supporting each other. We are, the community is supporting the monastics to be able to continue with their practice, and also we receive the gift of their teaching of the monastics, and because of their being cared for with their well-beings. So this tradition is continuing. So I'm very grateful that we can all come together for that reason again once more this year. And after the 2 years hiatus of the COVID pandemic that prevented us to be able to be here in person. So this year is a really a joy to be able to visit with our neighbors monastic from Aloka Vihara, and it's so delightful to have them here, and all of you who are here in person, and to be able to see and to hear that our monastics from Dhammadharini had completed a successful vasa for 3 months, and they emerged from that effort alive and well. So I would then like to invite our community leader Shirley to come, and Shirley and Charlie to come here, who is the major supporter of the Kathina this year, to say a word of appreciation and their efforts for leading us of this particular Kathina this year. Charlie and Shirley, please.
Yes, welcome to come up. We're getting some cushions for you, or if you do need a chair, is that better? Okay, cushion is coming.
Come on right here. Thank you, Sherry.
such a joy and honor to be here today with all of you um, who have made this get together possible. And it's just wonderful to look out over the group and see so many familiar and a few unfamiliar faces. Um, it's so good to get together with Dhamma friends in community support. And without all of your support, we would not be sitting out here because during COVID, there were so many restrictions that we then had to close off the monastery building for visitors. But because of your support, we were able to construct this pagoda and have a place for us to meet safely and in a healthy way during and post-pandemic. So it's because of your support that we are here today, and it's just wonderful for us to have a chance to get together again. So I was asked to mention a few words about some of the projects that some of you may have seen on the board as we continued to support the Bhikkhuni Sangha, not only here, but worldwide. And remember that when you're supporting the Bhikkhuni Sangha here, you're also supporting Bhikkhunis internationally, in the sense that the Bhikkhuni Sangha is still fledgling internationally. So when we can fan the flames of devotion right here, we're also garnering international recognition and support. We do have a couple of projects, as I mentioned, that we're working on for this year. And I urge all of you to donate from your heart with heartful generosity to those areas that you feel most drawn to, and in the amount that you feel is appropriate for your means and for who you are and what you can do. One of the top areas where we're looking for support is providing heating and cooling and ventilation for the monastery itself. And we've had a wonderful grant of about 30K, and we just need about $10,000 more to make this happen. And one of the issues that was a problem during the pandemic was the fact, and during also the fires, was the fact that we don't really have a ventilation system to clean the air. So that means that if there is a fire and the air is not breathable, there's no way to clean it out and ventilate it. Secondly, there's no regular central heating system for the building. In the winter, the bhikkhunis are forced to use individual electric heaters, which in fact would be much more expensive than having central heating. So if we can provide central heating, it will really be an asset to the community and keep everybody safe in the event of fire and poor air quality. Also, I understand the state of California is providing support and can help support having a modern, very modern system that integrates heating and cooling, so the bhikkhunis would also be protected in the future as the temperature rises with global warming. So I urge, if you are interested in helping out to build that $10,000 donation, anything that you can contribute from $1 on or even less would really add a lot to the health and comfort of our Bhikkhuni community. Second of all, I wanted to mention that unfortunately, because of the fires, the fire insurance at Aranya Bodhi has increased by 140%. So that's another area where any support is welcome. And in addition, we are now need to clear out a lot of the brush at Aranya Bodhi to prevent future fires. Or if there is a fire, we don't want to have it sweeping through the community and building in strength. And if we can clear out some of the brush, it would help protect our monastic community and also our neighbors in case of fire. So for that project, we're trying to raise $20,000. And anything that you find in your heart, that is an area that is important to you, please feel free to donate whatever you can. And finally, our last most immediate project is our emergency repair fund. So I actually was here at the beginning when we first started Dhammadharini at Wat Buddhanasoren was where the first ideas came. And when we first were invited to settle the Bhikkhuni community at the Aranyabodhi Hermitage. And from that time, at that time, I guess, each of those little wooden kutis was put together gradually over the years for a very small amount of money. They're basically little wooden shacks that our beloved monastics live in a very rustic way at Aranyabodhi. And we like it that way. But unfortunately, everything needs to be repaired and upgraded. So if you feel that is a moving cause for you and you really feel committed to Aranyabodhi and keeping our rustic setting as well, but keeping it in a healthy and safe way, we would urge you to, again, to donate to the Emergency Repair Fund. We're hoping for $5,000 eventually in the next year to make those needed repairs. So with that, I just want to thank all of you for being here today and all of those who could not be here today. We've had a few people pass this year and transition beyond this body here. And so I'm hoping that we can remember them as well today. Diane has donated her books and she's in process right now. And there have been several other people in our community who have experienced ill health or have passed on. So I hope that we can remember them. And with that, I would like to pass the microphone on to Shirley Upasamaya.
Sadhu, thank you, Shari.
Hello, everyone. Hello, venerables. Hello, all Dhamma friends. It's an honor to be speaking in front of all of you today. I just want to share with some personal experience and what Shari was saying sounds like a lot for us to do. I just want to say that with good intentions from everybody, from your heart, things will work out. You always do. And I want to share with you what I consider a miracle. First of all, when I was asked to be one of the sponsors for the Kathina, I was thinking, wow, what's IRT thinking of? I don't know anything. So then, the first thing to do is actually to look for the sacred Kathina rope, which is the most important thing for the whole event. So what happened is, this is we are talking about July 10th, somewhere around there. And IRT was suggesting we should order the rope from Sri Lanka. And I said, how do we do that? Sri Lanka at that time was having really turbulent times. They were not peaceful. Inflation was skyrocketing. food is scarce, gas is scarce. So I said, is that a good time to really ask them? Then what happened is, then Ayah Subhana received a message for Hasina. She's sitting right there with us. She's asking Ayah Subhana, I'm coming back from Sri Lanka in a few days. So do you need anything? Is there anything, any useful things that I can bring back from Sri Lanka? And then Ayah Subhana immediately told us about that. So, and IIT suggested me to contact Dhamnika. Dhamnika is one of our Dhamma friends from a long time, and she moved back to Sri Lanka. So we're talking about, I think, July 10th in America. It's already July 11th in Sri Lanka. And Hasina was supposed to come back July 15th. Is that correct? Yeah, July 15th. So I emailed Dhamika. Well, Sharon and I, we are sponsoring the Kathina, and we would like to see if you can help us to order the Kathina rope. And I wasn't really expecting too much. And immediately the next day, her email was dated July 11th. That means she almost emailed right back to me saying, oh, it's an honor that you asked me. And she immediately went to work, and she contacted also a Dhamma friend named Yugi. And then what Yugi, she's living in Colombo, and she ordered monastic robes for us before. So she knows about the size, the color, and everything. So immediately she went to offer looking for the robe, and almost without gas, Dhamika was wondering how she was able to go from here and there and ordering the robe and getting everything ready. Sure enough, she got everything ready. And within 2 days, she has the robe delivered to Hasini. To me, it was such a miracle. And Danica and I, we were WhatsApping each other. So when I WhatsApp her, it's either very late her time or very early her time. She also always responded almost immediately. So when she finally said that, oh, Hasina has a rope now, and she's gonna carry it back to America. And so I told her, I said, I know it's very late in Sri Lanka now. Now you can go and get some rest, So we say goodbye, sweet dream. And then Hasina, hand carry the sacred rope on the airplane all the way back to America. And I met with her, and then I received the rope. And to me, we're talking about within a few days ordering ropes from all the way from Sri Lanka, while they were having so much problem. This is a small miracle. So I would like to dedicate the merit of this Kathina to the Sri Lankan friends, Danica, Yogi, and also other friends that she did not name, to help to get these ropes for us, and of course Hasina here. So this is a very inspiring story to me, letting me know that if that's the right intention from the heart, it will work out. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. It's a wonderful story. Thank you so much. And oh, yes, just so much appreciation for Upasamaya and Sampuna and our whole board of directors. I see also Supatra here. And everyone you know, it's just so many people have come together to make this Vasa what it was, to make this day today what it is. It really is a community effort, and I really appreciate, you know, that story as just one example, but it's all like that, you know, it's all, everything here comes from the community coming together and making things happen in that way. And just thank you for that beautiful story illustrating how it can happen even when we don't think it's possible. It can. Um, and yeah, so that's how the robe came to be. But this is not just the robe. You know, Shari and Shirley have been supporting not just today for the Kathina, but actually for this whole Vasa, along with many other friends. They've been offering grocery dana every week. Many friends organized by Lal, I think he's still around, have been delivering the groceries and the hot meal every week, both here and at the Hermitage. You know, many people have contributed in so many ways to this audiovisual technology that's allowing you to hear me over there, and allowing the people on Zoom to be here with us too. You know, in this building and this land and these robes and the food and just everything is from this generosity. So appreciating that from the whole Vasa, and wanting to share back with you a little about how our Vasa was here. Specifically in terms of the Dhamma, we've had this teaching theme for the Vasa of Ayasobana's inspiration. Back in July, what she was feeling that the world really needed from us to be practicing with was the theme of stop the war. And, you know, inspired particularly by war in Ukraine, I think, but really any kind of war, starting with the internal, and you know, because that's where it all starts. All these big external wars start because of something in the human heart, in a lot of human hearts. So she proposed this theme, and our program for this afternoon, while we're waiting for the robe to be complete, is that each of our Dhammadharini residents is going to give a brief Dhamma talk on this theme of Stop the War, the fruits of our Vasa practice, to share back with you. So not everyone is out here right at the moment, but we're going to call them back from sewing when it's their turn. And you know, depending on our timing, those from Aloka Vihara, we're not here practicing with this theme, but if you have any inspirations while we're talking, I won't start with you, but I bet you have things you could say about this too. I'm just confident you might have some thoughts. So we'll start with our community members. We even have one community member who, Brahmawara, who was with us for the whole Vasa. She had to fly back to the UK a few days ago because her 90-day ESTA visa waiver was up. So she's not able to be here in person today, but she did record a video, brief Dhamma talk on this theme of Stop the War. So we'll be playing that for you to hear from her as well. And, you know, there was a plan that I was going to have an alms bowl with names in it, and I was going to pull the names out. And that was one thing that got dropped in our organizations today. So I can't do quite that, you know, just that fun way of putting people on the spot a little. But maybe we just go down the line. So I can start with the easy one, which is to introduce a little about the theme. And then I'm going to ask my next one over, and I'm giving her a warning of a few minutes. I think she'll find something to say. Yeah, if you want to get the mic. So just, I can say a little more about how this theme was laid out for our Vasa practice. It's been the theme of all the public teachings, the Uposatha teachings, the Sunday and Tuesday Dhamma talks and Sutta studies, as well as every morning our community has read a brief Dhamma reflection on this theme. And we started with teachings on removing anger. And there's many teachings on this, so many. I think because it's a very common problem that there is anger. And so there's many different strategies that one can use to remove it. One of them just being applying the antidote of loving kindness. Let's see, I might let Venerable Dhammanusari chant the verse about this. I know she's memorized it. Applying loving kindness. So when we dedicated this Sala Sima, we used a verse related to this about applying loving kindness as the antidote to hatred. I know Venerable Dhammanusari has memorized it. I'm going to let her do that for us.
First of all, I like to pray Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and to all the supporters that have support our Bhikkhuni Sangha. This chanting, I'm just practice slowly by catching the word from Ayati. She always blessing and she always teaching us to be nice and calm. So forgive me if I could not catch up the whole things. Dosa kim panamataya metta. Wait. I'm so kind of embarrassed a little bit. Kind of embarrassed, but I'm not usually in the big crowd. Dosa kimpana mataya me. You could help me just like. No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know you had it before. I saw it. I heard it. So the translation, do you remember the English? Applying loving kindness?
Yes, applying love and kindness. Applying love and kindness.
The exalted among
Exalted all among humankind. Extinguish the fire of hatred. Applying wise discernment, they go on to penetrate the truth, and applying wise and realize the
All right, let's hand that on to Samaneri Satima. We're going to get this. We're going to crowdsource this verse.
This is all the using that I to practice. So when
applying loving kindness, the exalted among humankind, extinguish the fires of hatred, applying wise discernment, they go on to penetrate the truth and realize the deathless. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.
Okay, so maybe later we'll figure out the Pali. But this verse was used in the dedication of this, the Sima for this Dhanasala. And it's supposed to be put on a plaque that will be right on that stone, that Sima stone, right in front of all of you there. So we won't forget it once it's on the plaque. But Anyway, it's a lovely verse that applying loving kindness is the way to extinguish the fires of hatred. And that was coming back to our theme. That was the first part of our Vasa teaching theme, is just that antidote of developing loving kindness and abandoning hatred. So just that internal way of stopping the war. And then our next section for the teaching was looking at a little bit external about how in community we can resolve disputes. And we looked at the teachings of the Buddha on this, the Adhikarana Samatas. So these are teachings from the Vinaya, the monastic discipline, about when something comes up in the monastic community, which it does. We're not perfectly peaceful all the time. We don't always agree with each other. Even if we are doing our best to apply loving kindness, we still, sometimes things come up in monastic community, and the Buddha gave a list of 7 ways in which those things can be resolved. And so we looked at those and how those can be, how do we apply those in our community life, both in monastic community, which is where the specific where that teaching was coming from, but also what lessons can we learn for on our community level to be able to resolve disputes, to come out of those things, to calm them. And then we looked at some teachings from contemporary teachers who have been, strong anti-war activists. So we read some teachings of the late Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, and also a little bit of from Paramaha Ghosananda, the sometimes called the Gandhi of Cambodia, who after the Khmer Rouge and the war in Cambodia, he led peace walks throughout the country and really did a lot for healing in Cambodia. And I know Ayananda Bodhi had some connection with him, and I wonder if she might be able to say something about that a little later. I think also, our Khmer Bhikkhuni here might also have some words to say about him. And I know many people have been inspired by Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, who we've lost in this past year. And so anyway, these great teachers who have faced war on the large scale, who have experienced it and know what that is, not just in the heart, not just in, communal level disputes, but the real wars, and still been able to come and calm their own hearts in the midst of that. So the inspiration that comes from reading about those people. And then the last section of our Vasa, we studied the characteristics of the sage at peace. There's many teachings on this also. This is what we're aiming for. This is the goal of our practice, is to come to peace. And what does that really look like? Understanding, what does it mean to be at peace? What is a real wise one? This was the next step in that chanting, applying wise discernment. Okay, she's trying to figure it out in Pali, almost. It's going to come to you. I have faith. So the first step was applying loving kindness to extinguish the fire of hatred. The second one is applying wise discernment to extinguish fire of delusion and realize the deathless. So these two go together, and they ultimately are what allow us to stop the war and to come to peace. So this has been the brief version of our Vasa teaching theme. And I'd like to see if Venerable Dhammanusari would like to say anything about this teaching theme, anything that was inspiring to you this Vasa that you'd like to share with us about. And then we'll pass it on to others.
for this Vasa, I have a great opportunity that being to be as a nun Khmer Bhikkhuni, which is rather to have, and I become the third one of the Cambodian Bhikkhuni that I have practiced. It's so grateful that I have the Dhammadharini that have teaching me. I know there's English that's very difficult for me, but I understand, but inside of me, so how to practice peaceful, calmful, and those are based because of the kind of vinaya uh, that the Buddha have based put on the 10 rule to the Sangha. And that just I really try to teach us so much. So this harmony between the Sangha that we live, we respect each other and try to make excellent Sangha, to share the good thing, to make the to make the good thing to the people who doesn't know the thing about how Buddha is, and then to make them to believe what is good. So by doing this good, which is have to come from us first, to let go all the anger, the fire of hatred inside of us, by give so much metta, no matter what in a person who want to do bad thing to us. It's just like one of the sutta that the Buddha, if somebody want to cut his meat, he allowed to do it. So we have to give that much metta to the person, because since the kind of the person have not good deed, the anger, and become stressful. So by doing the metta, and this metta will spread to around the everybody, and plus the deva will protect the person who practice well. That's why this morning when I'm trying to say that based on the 5 precepts, I want to talk about that liar, because when we lie, it's a big things, because it connect to another one. So let's see, if we starting say that we take 5 precepts, soda, we're not going to take the drink or the drunk, but then we start to zip a little bit, and this thing can go into the body and make us lose our mind, confuse things, and then we start to make all those kind bad things in our body. And when once become like this, it's not just affect that person, it affect the other person around that. That's why we see so many accident, drunk driver and hit to other, and then the rest of the people will have injury, disability for the rest of our life. So I think I would like to pass this to Samanere Satima, will help me a little bit to continue. Thank you so much for listening.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes. Definitely interested in what Savaneri Satima has to say. And then hoping we might have Ayya Brahmavara's talk able to be queued up afterwards. That's for my tech support team, if they could be ready with that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dhamma friends and venerables. So we've been talking about stopping the war at this Vasa across many weeks, many themes. And you know, we're sitting here, our bellies full, our hearts full, and we look around this beautiful landscape. The birds are chirping, the weather is calm and clear. Where's the war? There are no planes overhead dropping bombs. We don't see army tanks anywhere. No bullets are flying. Where's the war? But we became monks, nuns, because we can see the war. You know, one of Ajahn Chah's definitions of a samana is one who sees the danger of samsara. He sees the war. So where is this war that we're stopping? Where is it? To borrow a theme, title of my teacher, Bhante Gunaratana's book, What, Where, How, what we're doing as samanas is we have seen the war in the heart, the war of greed, the war of hatred, and all its variations, and the war of ignorance and confusion and delusion. And we've committed our lives to putting an end to it, putting an end to this suffering, because we know if it doesn't stop, we know it has the potential to burn not only ourselves, but all of those around us. So you have been supporting us all year and many years, this wonderful community in our efforts to practice this noble path. So where are we going to stop it? We now know what we're stopping, where we're going to stop it. We are going to stop it here, right here, in this very heart. We stop the hatred when we see it. We're not just holding the reins of hatred, but we're stopping it as soon as we notice it arising. And how are we to do so? The Buddha, in his great compassion, gave us the tools we need as Buddhists, lay practitioners and samanas. He gave us everything we need to put an end to this war. He gave us the tools of sila, of dana, sila, and bhavana. And so you have been so generous with these facilities, with these requisites, many of you for decades, or however long Dhammadharini has been around. How wonderful, how fortunate, how blessed to have heard the Buddha's teachings in this lifetime. And it's so very difficult, we know, to be born human and to hear the teachings of a Buddha. But here we are, so blessed to have this opportunity. So how we're going to stop it? We're going to practice dana as you have been doing. And so I would just like to remind you, as I was fortunate enough to have someone remind me, as when I was a lay person in white, practicing with such devotion, such love, and such commitment to the Sangha. Someone, I believe it was Ayatotaloka, told me one day, I offered something to her individually. And she stopped me and asked, do you want to offer it to me? Are you sure? I said, yes, I want to offer it to you. Are you sure? So what was she getting at? In the Dakinyabanga Sutta, in the Majjhima Nikaya, number 142, Mahapajapati Gautami wanted to offer something to the Buddha, personally, individually. The Buddha, out of compassion for Gautami, said, offer to the Sangha. Offer to the Sangha. Why? I know I had the habit of wanting to offer things to an individual, a monk that I loved and respected, or to a nun that I respected and appreciated. But the Buddha taught us to offer to the Sangha, the Mahasangha, because the merit that you gain by doing so is much greater. Your merit is purified when you keep the sila, And if it's not purified through your own sila, can be purified through the receiver. So we use this dana to help us to stop this war of selfishness, of greed, of me, mine, and myself. We use the sila, the second tool the Buddha gave us. We keep the precepts purely. We care, we trust, we believe, we have faith that the Buddha wouldn't lie to us. He gave us, as a loving father, advice. And out of respect, not belief, we take it on faith in the beginning, but then we find out for ourselves that what he said is true. There really is no owner, no doer, no self. There's nobody here, nobody there, and no one in between. So we use this sila to develop our purity, our morality, to become habitually moral, habitually virtuous. And by the calming of that war of greed and hate, through the dana, through the sila, we're able to move to the bhavana level where we can see for ourselves the truth of anicca, that nothing is lost in the universe. Everything is just changing. One thing changing all the time without end. That there is a constant stream of change, and that the law of cause and effect is what is propelling this movie. And so out of commitment, we practice the bhavana until we have our own proof. So I'd like to commend you for having enough wisdom, having enough fortune to be in this place with such wonderful people, to have such good karma, to be born human and to be born Buddhist, and to be, or if you were not born Buddhist, to have had the intelligence enough to practice and to give to holy people. And so it is my great wish for you that the fruit of your merit will be for your long-lasting benefit, for the welfare of yourselves, your families, departed relatives, for all beings. I know that when we have such occasions as this, all beings are rejoicing in our merit. And I'd like to thank you for welcoming me here as a new samaneri in the Buddhasasana, to offer a few comments, a few words on Dhamma. May these reflections be borne in mind as you continue to strive toward the goal of the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
Satu, satu, satu. Okay. Then I'd like to invite the video from Ayya Brahmara as our next speaker. And could we send a message to Samaneri Tavira, asking her to come out after that? You have on Messenger? She said she'd be watching the Messenger if you type to her. Okay. Yes. All right. So there's also sewing opportunities ongoing. Ananda Bodhi is going to go check that out. And then maybe you'll switch out with Tavira, so they're not missing her. And after that, maybe we'd invite some Dhamma thought or two from Santachit, if you're willing. Okay, if you're willing. Anyway, I Brahmavara first, and then Tavira, and then we'll see where we are.
So, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share on the topic of our Vasa this year. Over the many weeks of study and contemplation of Dhamma, our theme of Stop the War, which was chosen by Ayasobana, huge benefit to all the community. to investigate this theme. And it's really lovely to be able to join in the sharing on Dhamma with everybody who's at Dhammadharini today. I'm speaking from the UK, from England, on Friday night, which is something like Friday morning or early afternoon over there with you. So just the day before Kathina Day. And it's been really valuable to have the chance to share together on this Dhamma theme over the Vassa period. And we had a chance to consider many suttas from the Pali Canon on the theme of avoiding conflict and the qualities that lead to conflict, to disharmony. So many great teachings, so many teachings on how to promote peace, how to forgive, how to avoid judging others and also ourselves. All the ways in which we can step away from that which hurts and harms, that which causes friction, hostility, and the ways in which we can rather move towards peaceful coexistence, happy and harmonious coexistence, and that this is possible. And actually considering all the teachings of the Buddha on this theme, really kind of, I feel personally, it's kind of added to my toolkit, the kind of repertoire of skillful means that I can bring to bear when the mind is agitated or disturbed or angry or irritable, when the mind is prone to reactivity. So we talked a lot about reactivity and how to recognize and catch early on any kind of response to what's happening within us and around us in ways that are unskillful, how to be mindful enough to avoid escalation of any kind of triggering, any kind of reaction that may be, if unchecked, could lead to unskillful, unfortunate speech or behaviour, or even just the most subtle body language that may convey to others a sense of hostility. And in all these ways that we've learned to promote peace, to really give a sense of safety to ourselves and to those around us, to give a sense of security that in this very unpredictable and scary realm that we find ourselves in, that we can actually offer to each other the gift of harmlessness, and so the gift of safety, that we can relax in one another's company rather than having to feel on edge. There was, for me, a very interesting sutta that we looked at recently about judging, the judging mind, the mind that is liable to, prejudice, to projecting views onto others, and why that happens, and how we can therefore prevent that from happening. And there are so many things that I could say about all the teachings that we've received and considered this Vassa. I could talk all day, but because there's only a few more minutes left for me to speak on this topic, I think I'd like to focus on one of the causes of judgment that the Buddha gave, and this cause that came up again and again in the teachings on disharmony and the causes of disharmony is greed and lust. Greed and lust, wanting, that this is a cause of judging, it's very interesting to reflect on this, that our desires create our aversions, and our desires and aversions create the mind that is projecting out onto the world its likes and dislikes. And in this way, its judgments, its criticisms, its problems with this, that, or the other. And I find that a very powerful teaching and a very powerful contemplation, just to keep coming back to again and again. Whenever I have the sense that something's wrong out there, it's the reminder that there may be some desire or some aversion happening right here, and that this is the place where the attention needs to go. So whenever I have a problem, the problem is always here. And the resolution, therefore, the solving of the problem, thank goodness, is also here. It's possible, in short. If we think deludedly that the problem is out there, then how can we really solve the problem? It would be very difficult for us to grapple with such a problem out there. But if there's a problem in here, if the source of the disharmony, the source of the conflict, the source of the stress is here, then I can certainly root out the causes of dukkha here and make peace here. And thereby, of course, I can be a peaceful person in the world, and I can stop creating conflict with others. And this is really salutary and beautiful, actually, for us. We've been considering again and again how much we are able to offer, and how much responsibility we have, how much agency we have in this sense of being able to offer goodness into the world and to step back from any causes of harm. And on this theme, just to say a few more words, this cause of judgment, that is this cause I'm looking at, greed and lust, being a cause of judgment. The Buddha also said in many suttas, in Majjhima that we were looking at and elsewhere, that the cause of all the wars, all the fighting, all the terrible violence and strife in the world is also, all of it, due to greed and desire. One can trace back all the sources of conflict to this: wanting things that we don't have, wanting more of what we have, wanting something from someone else. In short, desire. And this defilement, this root defilement in the human heart of desire, and its converse, it's what goes along with desire, aversion, just the other side of wanting is not wanting. So both wanting and not wanting, this argument with reality, is really the root cause of all suffering between people, all the fighting, all the unkindness, all the harmfulness. And it's something I've been reflecting on again and again. It's a kind of thorn or a barb that we carry, like a tumor, the Buddha said. These defilements that we carry in our minds. But the great thing is, of course, that when we start to realize and take responsibility for this, we can really begin to uproot these defilements in our own hearts. And it's a contribution. We're not going to be able to put samsara right. The Buddha said, didn't he, that samsara is beginningless and endless, but we can certainly make peace here, and we can take up this noble quest to let go of all the causes of conflict right here. And this much we can do, and it's no small thing. I'm reminded of the image of the Buddha when he became the Buddha, the night of his enlightenment, what he told us, and the many images that have unfolded from his teachings of the Buddha sitting and the armies of Mara approaching him and threatening him. How terrifying, how overwhelming to have such an experience. And yet, you know, when we take up the noble path of practice to liberate ourselves from all the defilements, we indeed are taking on the armies of Mara, and we are required to fearlessly, you know, stand up and not allow ourselves to be reactive, not allow ourselves to fall into greed, hatred, and delusion, but to recognize these defilements when they arise in the mind and use all our energy, give all our attention to not allowing them to flow, not allowing them to grow, but rather to see clearly the suffering there and letting that suffering go through understanding the dukkha there. And this is a noble quest, and we had to be like spiritual warriors in order to overcome the forces of greed, hatred, and delusion of Mara. And it can be done. It can be done. And I took great heart this Vassa from studying all the causes of conflict and how indeed it is possible for each one of us to stop the war. And I wish you all every success in this practice, in this quest, in this opportunity that we have to stop the war right here, right now. Thank you.
Satu, 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 anumodama. All right. I see Samaneri Tavira has emerged from the sewing. I'd like to invite her to share anything on this theme of Stop the War that we've all been working with together this Vassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I'll let the helicopter go past first. So I feel like there's a way that saying stop the war can feel really like kind of dramatic. And it's easy to say like, oh, I'm not in any wars. I'm not starting any wars. But it's been so valuable this Vassa to really look at how, you know, all of those patterns that in the larger world turn into wars between countries with people killing each other, all of those same patterns and all of those roots of those things are present in some form. And just to really look at those very small things and look at the very small patterns and thoughts that arise and kind of ways of dealing with the world, and really take all those very small things very seriously and not brush them off as, you know, oh, this is unimportant, or this is just a minor little thing that I don't need to worry about or don't need to try to change. You know, one of the wonderful things about monastic life that maybe doesn't feel wonderful initially, you know, is how as we each are interacting with the world and the world is kind of pushing on us and making us uncomfortable, you know, in lay life, you have all of these options for if something kind of presses up against you and makes you uncomfortable, you can leave, or you can go somewhere else, or you have all of these options for distraction and ways of kind of moving away from that uncomfortable thing that lets you kind of avoid it or not confront it directly. And, being in monastic life, so many of those options are eliminated. And especially living in community, as part of Ayya Brahma, where I was talking this morning, we're this very diverse group living together and always kind of rubbing up against each other, and very, very different people with very different backgrounds and often very different even monastic training. And there's just kind of always things that you're sort of working with each other. And especially the last couple of years with the pandemic, we've really just had all of us together all the time. And just all of these things come up in that environment. And you have to really look at, I may have a certain idea of myself, but I do see when put in this environment or pressured in this way, there are these reactions that come up that are honestly not pleasant, either from the inside or for other people. And so really looking at looking at like negotiating those things and really seeing them very honestly, and getting the sense of, when something presses on me and I'm uncomfortable and I want to push back, and I want to say this thing in the outside world is causing me to feel this way and I want it to stop, versus saying no, like rather than letting myself get pushed and then pushing back hard is kind of this defense. How do I really look at how much of this is my own reaction and how much of it is a way I was conditioned that I had to interact with the world that I actually can change. And it may feel like this thing that's just unavoidable or completely normal, or, oh, this is the way everyone does this, so of course it's normal and fine for me to do this. But instead say, no, is there something there that I can choose to not do and choose to do differently, and really come out of the emotional reactivity around it in a way that's, when all of that settles and there's not so much emotion around it, it's then much easier to look very objectively at the situation and say, okay, how do we negotiate this relationship between two people in a way that it causes the least harm to everyone, that's not, I'm uncomfortable and I have to push back and defend my space, but is really like, how can we negotiate among all of us to find a solution that is the most peaceful and takes everyone's well-being into account as much as we can, in a way that's not, it's just very quiet and peaceful, and takes the feeling of conflict out of it, while also understanding that, we're all individual organisms that are trying to manage our well-being as much as we can, and is this kind of constant dance of negotiation among all of us. So that doesn't go away when you live. There's no, we are choosing to live in a way that we're not retreating into complete isolation, where you don't have to do any of that. So it's learning to negotiate that without all of this like push and pull and reactivity around it. And as the others can tell you, I don't always do that as well as I could, but it does feel like this incredible opportunity for learning to look at patterns that have always been there and say, many of these actually, some of them I can change right now. Some of them I believe I will be able to change in the future, but can't yet. But just learning to kind of open it all up to consideration and say, is there a way I can not make this about conflict, or not make this about push or pull, and make it about just really saying, what is the most peaceful and harmless thing for all of us? And so it's been a really valuable training and really valuable practice and study and contemplation, this Vasa. Thank you for listening.
Satu, 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 anumodama. Before you leave, how's the robe doing?
The robe is doing really well. We are sewing the border on and about to start the top stitching.
Oh,
So the robe is really actually pretty close to being done.
uh-huh. Okay, so. All right, Susie's on
Susie's
it.
going to check.
Okay, Susie will report back. That's sounding good. We might be even ready for the full thing at 3:30.
We might be.
Okay, that might be record time for us.
The sewing team has been very efficient today.
All right, congratulations to the sewing team. So we haven't heard yet from Ayasobhana on the theme of Stop the War, though we have heard many teachings from her on this theme throughout the Vasa. She will be giving a little talk for us after the completion of the robe. She'll be giving the Anumodana Katha talk at that time. So that's why she's not joining at this time. But we've all really, I think, benefited a lot actually from this Vasa theme. I could say a little bit more. I gave the introduction to the theme, but I didn't actually give my own little Dhamma reflection yet. So maybe I'll do that while we check on the robe. And well, maybe, or there might be questions from people. There might be, I'd also like to invite any comments from that side of the Dhanasala if I can, if I want. Yeah. Oh, if I dare, okay. Well, now I'm interested. All right, okay, let's see what Ayasantachita has for us. Would you be willing to speak on the Dhamma, Aya? After me? Oh, okay, we're in suspense now. Okay, I'll give mine and then we'll dare to see what Ayasantachita has to say. Thank you. So, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namassami. Okay, we're hearing maybe 15 more minutes for the robe. That's very close. Okay, well, I'll speak briefly because I want to hear what Ayasantachita has to say. And Ayananda Bodhi. Well, I think, well, we'll see if there's more time for them also. But anyway, I'll give my just, let's see, what can I say very briefly? Yeah, I think this has been a fruitful theme. I'm just sort of thinking of what are the things that have stuck out for me about it in the teachings that we've studied over this past Vasa. One is, some of these stories or teachings are about, a little more abstract or, not about a real war, right? Just about the internal war. But some of the things that are actually of most interest to me are the things that really are about the real war. And because that is a reality in this world, that people live through wars and, and come out the other side. And they can come out in all sorts of different conditions. But it's not, obviously it's a very difficult thing to live through, not to minimize in any way, but also to see that there's a variety of ways that people can come through and be on the other side of an experience of war. There's two thoughts that come to mind for that. One is the story of the Buddha, the time when he stopped a war. There were two groups of his kinsfolk living on two sides of a river. And there was a drought, and the river was only just down to a tiny trickle. And both sides were using this river to water their fields. And both sides were feeling, okay, if we need to divert the river to water just our crops, or our crops won't grow. And then, you know, we won't be able to feed ourselves. We'll have to, you know, we'll have to cross the river and buy the crops from you instead of being able to just grow them and feed them from our own land. And of course, both sides wanted to do this. They wanted to grow the crops for themselves. And this is the kind of thing that leads to a war. And they were prepared. They were gathering their armies. They were started by insulting each other, and then it grew and grew. And there were armies gathering on both sides of the river, and they were going to fight, and they were going to kill each other, and they were going to water the fields with blood. And so the Buddha came and used his psychic powers. He sat in the air in the middle of the river above the water, and you know, got their attention. And seeing him there, they didn't feel able to fight. You know, just sort of his presence was enough for them to pause at least. And then he was able to give them some teachings and tell them, you know, just for water, you're going to die, you're going to kill each other, you're going to create all this terrible situation for yourselves and your families for a long time, just over water. And it's not that the water doesn't matter. It does matter to their lives, of course. But even that was just not worth it. Anyway, this is the backstory to the 3 Dhammapada verses. And one of them is another one that Ayatollah likes to chant a lot. And this one I think we do know. You want to chant with me? Okay, well, I'll chant it, but you know it too. Susukang watajiwama aturesu anatura aturesu manuseisu viharama anatura. So that means so happily we live among those under duress, without duress. Among those who are under duress, we live without duress. Without duress, without stress, without strife and conflict. And, you know, it's, to really understand this verse, it's hard. It's like, because we live in situations in the world and we're affected by them. And this is sort of seeming like, you know, not to be affected by the situation in the world. And in a way, it's a challenging idea. It's like, how can you be happy when there's all this difficulty in the world? It seems like, you know, Pollyanna-ish, not right, not empathetic, or something like that. In a way, it can seem that way, just to live happily when others are suffering around you. But it's also the thing that allowed the Buddha to stop the war, is that he was not being caught up in this water battle, right? He was not being stressed out about that. He was not worried about it. And he was able to see clearly in that situation that that battle did not need to be fought, that there wasn't any good outcome to that. And it was from his own sort of being grounded and centered and happy and clear that he was able to see that and then be an example of that for others. But still, it's hard to get a sense of that for ourselves. The the other the sort of connected thing in my mind, not sure I'm going to be able to articulate exactly why it's connected, but another teaching from this vasa was some of the poetry of Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, as I said, and just one line of that that's coming back to me. I might not have it completely correct, but the poem is about, you know, all the difficulty in the world and being with that and facing with that. And it says at the end something like rising up with your eyes clear and your courage intact. And that, yeah, the clarity and the courage being intact stuck with. It wasn't a poem about fighting back. It wasn't courage in the sense of rising up and attacking or fighting. It was about the courageousness of being present with clarity in a difficult situation and not letting that bowl you over, not letting that push you down, not falling back and running away from that, but also not fighting and pushing against it. It's just standing firm and steady in the midst of that, courage intact. And I guess the connection is that is the way to live happily. And it doesn't mean abandoning the world. It doesn't mean, you know, the Buddha didn't just run off and say, oh, you fight your war. I don't care. I'm going to be all happy living in the forest by myself. He didn't say that. He went and he just stood firm and steady in the midst of the river, eyes clear, courage intact, and that was enough in that situation to stop it. So those are two things that stuck with me from this vasa, and I will close there. Thank you. And let's see, where has the mic gotten to? I'd like to hand it to Ayasantachita. I'd like to invite her, whatever comment she may have on this theme. Okay, so we'll have a very short reflection from Ayasantachita and also from Aya Anandabodhi. And then we think the robe may be ready and it'll be parade time. So this is our.
Is it working? Yeah. So thank you, for inviting me. And also that you said, that the practice is all about just, getting away from the world, but it's also really important to engage, in order to really liberate oneself. One needs to be in connection with what's happening, not just like turning away, turning inside, because there are injustices, happening in the world. And sometimes, it's hard for us to know the difference, what is our projection, just because, our wishes get frustrated, or what's really happening. And so I think that is why really it's important to notice when anger arises, that, anger has some information for us, and then really starting to look deeper, to look underneath the anger and see, what's really happening, and then make a decision, not from a place of reactivity, but from a place of, calm, and from a place of awareness. And, in my own direct experience, anger is actually what I'd call a secondary emotion. It's a reaction to a sense of helplessness or vulnerability or a sense of being wronged. And then, because it's very hard to stay open to these kind of feelings, often, anger arises in order to avoid this feeling of vulnerability and hopelessness and helplessness. And, anger can give like a certain feeling of being in control. And it's a reaction to this very feeling of being disempowered, of not knowing what to do, of feeling hurt. And I think that's why, the suggestion to bring loving kindness towards that experience of hurt, of pain, of vulnerability. That's why that is so important, because if we can't really accept that, then anger arises on top of it as a way to avoid actually this very difficult, feelings. Is they're hard to bear with, and they're often connected also to very early childhood, and they are before words. So they are very difficult to stay open to. And loving kindness is really the only way how those feelings can be allowed, like a little baby, holding a baby in your arms, to hold these feelings, these very difficult feelings in the cradle of loving kindness long enough, until it starts to settle. And then a clarity arises from that willingness, from the acceptance of this vulnerability, because we are actually, as human beings, we are very vulnerable beings. Our bodies are made of the elements and are constantly changing. Our minds are very vulnerable as well, especially when we are very young. So our situation is very vulnerable, but if we can accept that vulnerability and turn towards it, it can make us increasingly invulnerable, because there is that strength and steadiness to accept it the way it is. And then from that strength and steadiness comes a clarity, and then one can go forth and make a decision, to do something or to not do something. And so the anger is kind of a wake-up bell, hey, look a bit more clearly what's going on here. And then from that wake-up bell, then first, looking inside, but then also after we see clearly, then sometimes it's required to do something and sometimes not. And, to know the difference requires wisdom and compassion to know what is the right thing to do. And it starts with looking first here, certainly, but not stopping there. And I think that can sometimes be a tendency, that is not spoken enough about. And I'm glad you brought it up, with the example of the Buddha, actually, very well stepping forward. And he had a very excellent way, he didn't need to fight, but he took a position and he showed, what he thinks is the right thing to do. And I think it's important to emphasize that also. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I think it's a very interesting theme to choose for the Vasa, Stop the War. And what immediately came to mind for me when I heard it in this context was the war inside. And I know we've spoken about it's not just about inside, it's also about how we meet the world. But it, in terms of the practice, immediately my mind went to oh yeah, those wars inside that often we don't even realize. Example, making a commitment to practice and to further in the Dhamma, and then to follow addictive tendencies that are harmful or that waste our energy, or to hold really strongly to views of being right and not really listening to others because we're so sure that we're right. So these create kind of wars, because on one hand there's an intention and interest to align with truth, with the Dhamma. And the Dhamma is, the word emergent comes up. The Dhamma is emergent. The Dhamma is apparent here and now. It's changing. It is change. It's responsive. It's aligned with what's true. It doesn't have to argue or take a position. And yet, unless you don't do that, most of us end up, getting into arguments, taking positions, and getting caught, like our energy gets caught up in the small sense of me and mine. And in a way, that whole tendency is going against our greater aspiration towards liberation, freedom. And there can be also this internal conflict of, wanting to cultivate wholesome states and, be a source of goodness and kindness in the world, and then being really hard on ourselves when we don't, we're not quite as good as we think we should be, or when we make a mistake, or when we're below par in terms of how we think we should be. And then I've seen it with many practitioners who have a very high standard, and they are, have all these wonderful aspirations, and then just be really cruel almost to themselves, a very harsh judge when they're not actually able to keep up the standard that they would like to keep up. So this is a kind of inner war or inner conflict, where on one hand you want to cultivate these beautiful qualities of, patience and kindness and altruistic joy and, wisdom and compassion, and yet there's a old habit of criticism and judgment and harshness that comes in relation to that. So I don't know if anyone here can relate to that at all. But that's one of the ways that we create war inside ourselves. So learning to bring those qualities to our practice, not just like having an idea of what we should be doing and then being harsh when we're not quite doing it right, but bringing the qualities of patience and kindness and appreciative joy to our practice, like appreciating the good that is being done, and having patience with the bad habits that we really want to stop, but they've just got a bit too much momentum and we can't quite put the brake on fully yet, but we're working on it. Having patience with these things. And compassion for the goodness knows how long we've been wandering in samsara, wandering around and around doing the same old things for goodness knows how long. So having compassion for that aspect of like, oh yeah, even though I intellectually understand what to do, I intellectually understand the teachings, it makes complete sense, and I'm completely behind it and I want to do it, the old karmic patterns sometimes trip us up. So having patience with that process, and I don't mean, just like giving into it and saying, oh, well, I can't because, but recognizing it takes time, it takes practice, it takes perseverance, dedication, and yeah, a lot of patience. And Venerable Kathina mentioned Venerable Mahaghosananda earlier on, that one of the teachers that they were exploring the teachings of during the Vassa was the Venerable Mahaghosananda, and he was really the most important person, the greatest influence, I'd say, on the level of Dhamma in my life. There have been many people who've been a huge influence. Ajahn Sumedho, who I lived with for 11 years, and Ajahn Sucitto, who I lived with for 4 years, and the Ajahn Chandasiri, Ajahn Sundra, the senior Siladhara, who I lived with for about 17 years. And they've all been really important. But there were 3 short meetings with the Venerable Mahagosananda that were very, very powerful and life-changing for me. And I can see, with that, and just that phrase, "stop the war," it sort of brings up an image of him in my mind as his complete lack of conflict, actually, internally and externally. This being who was not in conflict with the way things are, even though life had been quite cruel to him in many ways. His country being destroyed, and all of his siblings have been killed during the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. He had many reasons to be bitter and angry and vengeful, but there was not a tiniest drop of any of those qualities in him. So there was no war going on. He was at peace with the way things are. And at the same time, he was an activist. So he wasn't sitting back and saying, "Oh, it's all fine, I'm just letting go." But he deeply let go and then stepped up for peace, stepped up to encourage people to walk for peace, the Dharma yatras that he would lead across the country. And there's a story of one time when he was leading a Dhamma yatra, and there were people from all different countries that had come together for this peace walk, and they were gathered in a wooden building discussing, getting ready and planning what they were going to do, and there was a war going on. And so there was shooting happening while they were in this kind of, I don't know what it was, anyway, this wooden building. And at one point, bullets started to come in into the building. And it said that the Mahagosananda, some people got afraid, like, "Oh, we can't do it, we've got to stop." And then he was like, "We're here for peace. We've come here to walk for peace. If we're going to give up because somebody's shooting, then what are we doing?" So he was just really clear, like, "No, we're just going to go ahead." There was this fearlessness, this it wasn't even courage, I wouldn't even call it courage, but a fearlessness of alignment with truth, of alignment with what is true. It's better to stand and walk for what is true than to cower behind, out of fear of what is not true or what is harmful. And so he led this peace walk through crossfire, and no one was harmed during that time of the Dhammayatra. And there's just this incredible fearlessness and strength that comes when there is that deep letting go, deep letting. So, I remember him seeing a conflict in myself. I have a tendency towards being a bit greedy, but thankfully I have the robe, so they kind of protect me from being too greedy. But it is a little bit of a leaning. And I remember when I first met, one of the times that I first met him, and he was noticing my greediness at the mealtime, and started laughing. He was kind of chuckling away, watching me being kind of greedily just eating much more than I needed. And that his laugh, his humor was like, there was both deep compassion for my foolishness and the suffering that creates that greed, and a deep love, and it was really clear that in him there was no greed, there was no hatred, there was just this presence and responsiveness to life. There was no carrying bitterness, there's no blame or complaining or yearning or wanting. There was just responsiveness to life. So stopping the war, it happens on many levels. And stopping the war inside, if we can do that, if we can, the more we can stop the war inside, a symbol of peace and joy on the outside. And Venerable Mahagosananda would go and walk through these places in Cambodia that had been devastated, where people had every reason to feel angry and bitter and vengeful. And he would hand out these little slips of paper in Khmer saying, hatred never ceases through hatred. Only through non-hatred can hatred cease. This is the eternal law. So he would hand these out to everybody. And at the same time being a symbol of that, not just handing them out, expecting people to be able to do what he couldn't do, but embodying that quality and at the same time encouraging others to let go of the anger and the suffering and to not engage in that war. Because in a way, this is what we do. So we get hurt and then we want to hurt back. We want to protect ourselves and we want to hurt back. And then we get caught in an endless cycle. It never ends. It goes on through generations. We know about it. It can be in a family or in a clan or in a country, and on it goes, generation after generation. Pointless harm. So somebody somewhere has to stop. I always feel like when you have the Dhamma, it's like we have to stop. And sometimes also there's a lot of teachings now about ancestral healing, ancestral trauma and ancestral healing. And I recognized it some time ago in my family. It's like there were certain things, that had been passed down, my great grandfather to my grandfather to my father to me and my siblings. It's like these things getting passed down that were hurts, from at some time, and then not knowing how to deal with it, one passes it on blindly to one's children, and then they grow up and they stuff. And for me, it's like, okay, when one has the Dhamma and has the practice, it's not that it doesn't hurt and that you don't feel the things that maybe your parents felt and their parents felt, but you have the tools to work with it. So you don't have to just react in the same way. So stopping the war is also stopping that inheritance that many of us have of trauma or of disrupted lives, of sometimes of violence, of addiction, all of those things. They can be passed down through generations, and when we have the practice, we have an opportunity to stop that war and transform it and let it go, let it lay to rest. And in a I don't know if it's I'm not sure where that happened, but the poppy is the symbol for remembering those who've died in war, and that we have that symbol because after a battle, I don't know where it was actually, probably other people can tell me, but that after a battle where many people died and much blood was lost and went into the ground from this battle, after those bodies were taken away and buried, and later on the blood of the soldiers that went into the ground and nourished the seeds of poppies. And then this field that had once been a field of fighting and of death became this beautiful field of poppies. So I also think that's a potential for all of us. It's like we can stop the war and stop the fighting and stop the feuds that have been going on and allow the poppies to bloom, allow the blossoms to rise up. And it takes a little work and a little patience. So may we all engage in stopping the wars, our personal internal wars, our ancestral wars, our cultural wars, our gender wars, all of that. May we all engage in stopping the war.
Satu, 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 anumodama. And I see a parade coming in. So thank you all speakers for these wonderful words. And now let us live happily in this moment with the success of this vasa and of this, the creation of this robe. Well, I think we want to have a parade. So, satu, 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 the robe is complete. Okay, photo op. Beautiful. Okay, so I think after the photo op, we'll, let's see, we have some flags and some golden umbrellas that could come out. Are you able, somebody could grab those. We're all going to just parade around the building, celebrating the completion of this robe. And then come back here for the Sangatana and the Anumotana. And well, also for Ayasobana to come out and spread the Kathina. So first parade, then Sangatana. Or yes, please. All right, let's see that it really is done. Ayasobana is going to open it up here. Ooh. Oh. Satu, satu. Okay, a complete, beautiful new lower robe. Okay, congratulations. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see, flags being distributed, umbrellas up. All right, they're looking ready. So, so I think usually this is the lay friends would come and perhaps led by the donors. Each person can have a chance to carry this robe pack. So Shari and Shirley, would you like to come up and can take this robe and we'll carry it around, give each person a chance if they like to carry it for a part of the way around the building so that each person, just like with the Buddha Puja, each person gets to participate in the merit of this offering here. Yes, come on up. Shall we hand it to them? Yeah. Yes. Okay, so Amanari Tavira can hand this to you. A lot of her work went into this, in addition to Ayasobana's. Satu, satu, satu. All right. Okay, and here come the umbrellas. All right. Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja Charana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Bodhisattva Sarati Satadeva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja Charana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Bodhisattva Sarati Satadeva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho Vijja charana sampanno sugato lokavidu Anuttaro bodhisattva sarati Satadeva manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja no sugato lokavidu Anuttaro bodhisattva sarati Satadeva manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja charana Anuttaro bodhisattva sarati Satadeva manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja charana no itu Anuttaro bodhisattva sarati Satadeva manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja charana sampanno sugato lokavidu Anuttaro bodhisattva sarati Satadeva manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja charana sampanno sugato lokavidu Anuttaro bodhisattva sarati Satadeva manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja charana sampanno sugato lokavidu Anuttaro bodhisattva sarati Satadeva manusanang Motto Bhagavati Tipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijjajarana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti Piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijjajarana Sampanno Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Iti Piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijjajarana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Tipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijjajarana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Okay, so we're going to receive the robe and then the Sanghadana. So yes, Sanghadana. So this robe will come back and be received. And then anyone who has brought a Sanghadana gift that they'd like to come up and offer together, welcome to come prepare those gifts and come with those next. Yeah, there's also that one if you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Yes. Yes, so welcome to bring any gifts of Sanghadana. Anyone who'd like to bring things up from that table and help with the offering. Now is the time for the Sanghadana. Okay. So, so, um, so Anumodana to all who are offering. Not quite done yet, so just don't want people to wander off yet. There's one more very important thing to happen today. Okay, I guess so. So Anumodana Sadhu to everyone who has offered the Sankadana. There's one more important event for this afternoon, and that is the spreading of the Kathina. We did just open up the robe and show it to you, but it hasn't actually been spread yet. That requires Ayasobana to go out and make this robe a proper robe for a monastic. That means marking it with a bindu and determining it. There's a special Pali phrase she has to say to determine it as her lower robe. And then she can come back and she can spread the Kathina in the traditional way. It's not just opening it up and showing it. It's something different. So she's going to go out now and take care of that. And then we will be here to appreciate the spreading of the Kathina officially and give the Anumodana chanting and blessing and brief Dhamma talk from her at the end. So hang on for that. Oh, okay. Anumodana to Indra. Okay. Oh. Okay. So. All right. So Ayasobana has gone out. She's preparing the robe. She'll be back in a minute. And she will spread the Kathina. We'll give a brief Anumodana Katha, a brief Anumodana Dhamma talk. We'll have blessing chanting. And then we prepared for this to go longer because we weren't sure if the robe would be done. That means that we've invited people who are going to be joining us online or to give like brief recordings or videos to share. So we could consider that the after party. Anyone who wants to stay for a time of community sharing afterwards. Oh, Seminary Satima is requesting volunteers to help take things down. If there is anyone at the end of the day after the community sharing who's still around and energetic, that would be appreciated. But we do want to have this time for anyone who is able to stay or anyone who's just coming online now because they're in a different time zone or something of the sort. We will have some community sharing time after the spreading of the Kathina. But that spreading of the Kathina is the main event of the day. So hang on just a few more minutes for that if you can. And if you do need to go now, then thank you so much for being here. We really appreciated seeing everybody. And Anumodana for your practice, for your generosity, and for being our friends, being here today.
Is now happening? Good. Hello, hello. While we're waiting for the next event to happen, I just wanted to share with you the word of encouragement and the gratitude for the generosity that has been raised up until now. And this Kathinas today, traditionally, we will wait until the end of the day to count for the amount of Kathina donation that we have received. But for some of the people are leaving early and we may not have enough time to, or they may not, enough time for them to wait to hear about the total of the day. So I just want to take this opportunity to give you the interim report that up until this moment, there is at least 80,000 that has been donated for the Kathina occasion. So Anumodana for all the support that we received from our community. Whether it's a large amount or small amount, it doesn't matter. It does come from your heart and your purpose to support Dhammadharini. So with much gratitude, for all of your participation and your support today. And for those of you who still haven't done the deed, they might want it to be encouraged to participate in any way they can. It doesn't matter. The amount is all counted towards your generosity and your willingness to support the monastery and our Buddhist community. And thank you so much. For those who are leaving now, have a safe trip home, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next occasion. Thank you.
I think I see the return of Ayasolpana. Can we gather to rejoice in the spreading of the Kathina together? Let's see. Hope our Bhikkhuni Sangha could return so they can rejoice. Calling the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Venerable Dhammadharini, Ayananda Bodhi. Yes. Thank you. Okay, Roger, can you turn on the lav mic?
Dear friends, in the last few minutes, I relinquished the lower robe that I had been wearing before and determined it as a miscellaneous accessory clause. And then I took this robe that had just been sewn and I bindued it. That means to disfigure it with a certain mark in ink so that it's not like new and flashy, as the Buddha wanted us to have things that were used and imperfect like that. So I put those that mark on it, 3 dots as the bindu. And I determined that robe as my antaravasaka, my lower robe, which is one of the 3 robes that I wear every day. After doing that, I spread the Kathina by reciting a verse in Pali saying, the Kathina has been spread. It's very short and simple. Yeah. And now I am announcing to the Sangha.
So now we have Bhikkhuni Sangha.
Imina antaravasakena sanghasa katinam attarami. That was when I determined it. Then attatang aye sanghasa katinam dhammiko katinataro anumodata. Venerables, the Kathina has been spread. The spreading of the Kathina is in accordance with the Dhamma. Approve of it.
Sadhu, 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 anumodama. We approve.
Should I say a few words?
Yes, can we invite the Anumodana Katha? Aye?
What I have to say will be slightly familiar to those who come to the regular weekly programs that we offer at Dhammadharini every Sunday and every Tuesday. This is because it's very common for us to pick up a theme and to kind of like develop it. And the people in the weekly group get the first draft, and then they get the second draft. And they find out what sutta I was looking at when we do our sutta study. And then, so this will be like the third draft. So hopefully I figured it out by now. The theme is about chaga, or generosity. Chaga is one of the words for generosity. Dana is another word for generosity. Nekama, which means like a renunciation or giving up worldly things, is also sometimes very closely related to generosity. But the Buddha very often spoke about chaga as having both a worldly quality and also a high refined Dhamma quality. In the worldly sense, it was a miracle of generosity that the wealth of the people would increase and grow and grow. This was a time of history that like commerce was developing and cities were developing and wealth was developing, luxury was developing. So many things were evolving, and it was kind of a miracle. People were wondering, like, why is the country becoming so bountiful, so wealthy? And at that time, this was before capitalism. Before capitalism, we had gifts and giving gifts. People would exchange gifts with one another. You would give what you wanted to give, and others would give you. You would receive what others had to give you. If you were had a special skill, if you knew how to make pots, you could make a lot of pots and put them in the yard. And somebody who needs a pot can take a pot and give you some rice. In this way, the wealth of the people increases, and the joy and happiness increase. Now, it doesn't have the brutal kind of exchange quality of capitalism, but it does still have a certain sort of like in the West, when they have Christmas, you kind of like know what you gave, what the value was of the things that you gave, and what is the value of the things that your relatives gave you, and how much meaning or how much significance, like how much heart was in the gift that you gave or in the gift that somebody gave you. And it's true that humans do calculate those things and measure them up and remember them. And this is kind of like the stain of mundane worldly generosity, is it has that quality of keeping score, giving and getting. But but nevertheless, generosity is a good thing. It's so beautiful when a generous person is bountiful, like the rain falling during the rainy season. It falls everywhere. It just doesn't, I say, I'll fall on this house, and then it doesn't fall on the next house. Instead, the rain falls everywhere and soaks the entire land. Or when the sun shines everywhere. It doesn't shine selectively on the lucky people. And so this kind of spirit, which always is aware and has enough strength, enough energy that if they see a need or if they see an opportunity to give, they find the energy and they give and give. So this is like a high quality of a generous person. A generous person would not be just taking some leftover thing that's sort of broken down that they don't want anymore. Or if they have something that's like really useless and I have no use for this, so let me give it. That's not the ideal of giving. The person who gives what is good. And then a person who's really skillful in generosity gives at the right time. They're around and they know what's needed and what's timely for people, and they give things that are matching the need that's arising. There are two other well, there's several like clusters of Pali words that are associated with giving. And the first cluster, the Buddha's okay, it's associated with sila, with samadhi, and with wisdom and generosity. Those things are going together in a cluster. But then there's another cluster which has to do with a person who's striving for the purification of the heart, striving to let go of dukkha, a person who doesn't wish to keep on to the pattern of going around and around in samsara and continuing on with the suffering arising from craving and clinging. And in that case, the group of Pali words is seeing things as they really are, becoming disenchanted with being reborn again and again in samsara, the fading away of passion, the cessation of clinging, and the giving away of clinging. And then the vimutti, the experience of freedom, and the patinisaga, which is the experience of once you put it down, you don't pick it up again. So you've turned away, you've relinquished, you're not going to pick that up again. And so in this way, chaga, or generosity, is put right in this cluster with these really high, refined, superior experiences that a person can have if they've really been devoted to their practice and really practicing deep meditation, having life-changing insights into the patterns that keep us and around, and seeing the causation so clearly that the mind just becomes completely like not interested in continuing with that, because you can see so clearly, like if I let myself have a selfish thought, have a conceited thought, have a and you know, we see this in our community. We've been going around with this study for about a week now, and And we see it all the time. It's like, no, that's my job. Don't do that job. That's my job. I want to do this because I have a lot of opinions about this, so let me do it. So we see, even though we're practicing a monastic life, we can see how easily the mind has this strong tendency to pick up mind. But if we have been cultivating these beautiful qualities of really understanding causation, really becoming disgusted, letting go of anything that's going to be poison. So, you know, if I pick up some food and when I smell it, I say, oh, this is going to be poison for me, I'm not going to put it in the mouth. If I am thinking some ugly thoughts and I catch myself and I say, wow, these thoughts are toxic. Why would I keep toxic thoughts inside my mind? And as soon as we see how toxic it is, this tendency, this mind, this craving, then just let it go, put it down. And then this is chaga. It's a kind of generosity. Just let go. You know, so if somebody else wants to do my job, okay, fine. It's your job now. You can. It's all right. I don't have a different opinion than my opinion, and they would like to assert their opinion. Well, then okay. Well, maybe you're right. Let us hear and consider what somebody else is thinking, a different point of view like that. And so this is the deep practice of generosity. So just the same way, at a very simple level, like even a kid could understand, if I am generous and I give things away, that helps me to not be so selfish. And when I stop being selfish, I'm on the way to becoming selfless, in the sense of being able to give selflessly, giving freely without worrying about whether I'm going to get paid back or not. Just give and let go completely as soon as you've given. And then giving up selfishness and practicing selflessness in this ordinary common way is actually like training the mind or cultivating the mind to be able to experience the non-self in the Buddhist sense, and to see all the five khandhas as being essentially not anything that will last together, not anything that could possibly even possible to cling to, changing all the time, just an apparent combination that exists in a moment because of causes and conditions, but which is constantly flowing outwards. It cannot be clung to, and the attempt to cling onto it is just a vanity and trouble. And so then this can be seen so easily and so clearly when we have lived a life where we stopped being selfish, where we became generous, where we could find that extra energy, even going like to the ultimate level in giving, even when we thought we're like the barrel's empty, that we have no more to give, but yet somehow we find the energy. That kind of superior, superlative, mundane energy is something that every single one of you who was a parent or is a parent, you know what it is to go to the ultimate degree in giving, because you gave everything for your children. You gave so much inconvenience, you gave so much energy, you gave so much of your sleep, so much of your care. You had to be there constantly, continuously for your children when they were little, and or different times of their life when they really needed you. Then you had to give and give and give. And so that was a model. And if you don't have your own children, then you could remember, I was once a child. and I had a mother and a father. And I think how much my mother gave to me, how many thousands and thousands of hours my mother spent taking care of me, how many thousands and thousands and thousands of hours my father spent in my traditional family going to work and trying to earn a job so that he could pay the mortgage and take care of us in that way. And so it's no need to think about if I'm generous, someone is going to take advantage of me. Don't think that way. I think that this is a perfection, that I can actually develop it to the ultimate degree, to the highest degree, giving it every kind of level, both at this sort of ordinary human level, but then also giving up clinging to anything at all, giving up that very clinging, which is the cause of dukkha. Just give it up. And then we will be close to awakening, close to freedom, close to liberation. So this is my brief Dhamma reflection, and I thank everybody for your wonderful participation today and for your generosity and for all your help to the Bhikkhunis.
Sad, sadhu, sad. Ooh. Closing blessing chanting.
There's going to be a Zoom program continuing after the closing blessing.
Yes, so there will be a closing blessing, and then that's not actually the end. There will be a Zoom program continuing afterwards. If anyone needs to go, I know there's traffic and all these considerations, so you're welcome to go at this time. But if anyone wishes to stay, there will be the Zoom time of community sharing following this.
And you can watch it on the TV.
And yes, you can watch it on the TV. Or if you're on with us on Zoom, I know some of you have been with us all day. Happy to see you all there. And we will be continuing, but for now, we're going to offer some blessings. Okay.
Someone's going to bring the chanting so that everybody can read it and chant it with us if you like to do so.
Okay. All right, so remembering all the blessings of this day with appreciation for everyone who's participated near and far in so many different ways. Anumodana with all our appreciation. We're going to chant the verses of the Buddha's victory blessings, the Buddha Jayamangala Gatha. And I've heard that I was too loud before. How is my sound now? Okay. So I'll trust the tech people to adjust me as appropriate. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati sata devam manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Hakaliko Ehipasiko Panayiko Pajatang Veditabo Vinyuhiti Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Panno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Samiji Patipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Yarirang Chattari Porisa Yugani Atta Porisa Pogala Esa Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Rakineyo Anjalikaraniyo Anuttarang Punya Ketang Lokasati. Bahung sahasam abhinimita sawutantang grime kalang udita korasa senamarang danari dhamma vitina jitwa munindo Tante jasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani Maratire kamapiyu cita sabarating Goram panalawakamakamatadayakang Kanti suranta vitina jitowa munindo Tante jasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani Nalagiringa jawarang atimata bhutang Dawagi jakamasani wasudharunantang Metambuse kavitina jitawa munindo Tante jasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani Ukita kagamati hatha sudarunantang Dhawati yojana patang gule mahalawantang Iti pisang katamano jitawa munindo Tante jasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani Katwana katang udarang ivagabiniya Jinjaya dutta vacanang janakaya mace Santena sona vitina jitawa munindo
Tante jasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani. Sajjang vihaya mati saja kavada ketum. Vada piro pita manang ati anda bhutang. Panya pati pajalito jito wa munindo. Tante jasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani. Nando pananda pujakang vibudhang mahiting. Putena tera pujakena samavayanto. Itu paresa vitina jito wa munindo. Tante jasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani. Dukkha haditi pujakena sudattahatang. Brahmang visuddhi jupimi pibaka pitanang. Jnanagarena vitina jito va munindo. Tante jasa bhavatu te jaya mangalani. Etapi buddha jaya mangala attagata. Yo vachano dinatine sarate madanti. Hitwananeka vividhani chupadavani. Mokhang sukhang abhikame yanaro sapanyo. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So this concludes the formal portion of our program. Welcome to stay for the Zoom sharing. Anumodana for your participation today. So do we have any volunteers who might like to speak on Zoom? All right, then I invite anyone who's with us on Zoom who would like to say a few words to say a few words. I'm not seeing myself who's online right now, so I'll trust that they're on it. All right, and we'll have a little respect paying while we're getting organized with people to speak. Just a moment.
Hi, can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, so Ananea, don't leave yet. Somebody, Santachita wants to speak to you. And I think I heard Barbara's voice coming through. We did hear you, and I'm delighted to hear you. And I'd like to see what else you have to say other than hello.
Hello.
So yes, now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't know where we'll go in speaking. All I want to say is I've been not grounded recently, and just coming to be with you and hearing the beautiful chanting, it matters so much to me particularly, but to many of us. So your practice, all of it is so good. And I need it to be when I kind of lose my own ground. So for this moment, that's all I wanted to say.
Sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Barbara.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes, we're always happy to see you.
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something, Barbara? What do you mean by lose your ground? Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Let me go
Barbara,
on.
can you unmute yourself?
I just did. Thank you, Aya. It's a good question. And I've come to a stage where I can live and be in some measure of spaciousness. And instead of feeling spacious, I felt like I was floating. And that's a different thing.
Slowing.
Floating. Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
But I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm here and grounded.
Oh, okay. That's
in
good.
truth and reality. So thank you.
That's good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
I didn't see. Oh, who's here?
Okay. See, do we still have Maitri and Ruanti? I know they came very faithfully
Yeah.
for the whole Vasa and were here most of the day. I wonder if they
Yeah.
have anything to share.
I'd like to add a few words. Yes. This is Maitri.
Okay, Maitri, please go ahead.
I'm in Florida, so it's 7:30 or something like that here. I wanted to first say that I have a lot of gratitude for these offerings. The online Dhamma offerings, it's a great source of support for my practice. It's a process. It helps get back on the path or work on the path. I wanted to actually say a couple of things related to the what Ayasobana said today related to Chaga, and I think that was one of the themes that sutta, I think one of the last sutta studies we discussed, and Ayasobana talked about, I forget what the sutta was, but related to Chaga and how it's generosity, but it's also with a touch of letting go, and it's generosity together with letting go. And so this was, I was turning this in my mind and was coming to the point that I'm seeing that this letting go aspect, this chaga, it's really related to also the practice and proceeding in the path, and how it, to me, I was feeling that it also relates to the cultivation, the practice, because it's not just generosity, it's not just giving money, it's also maybe giving up thoughts about your ideas, your opinions, letting go of those. So, so this is very helpful. And I was actually just listening to a talk that Bhante Gunaratana was giving this morning, and he was explaining how he was talking about the second or the third jhana, and he mentioned how in one of the suttas, the three Sila, Samadhi, Pajna, how that gets reclassified as Sila and Panya, where Samadhi gets, I guess, folded into Sila, the practice of Sila, and it leads to the development of concentration. So anyway, I want to leave those words and say that I'm enormously grateful for the support for practice that these online Zoom offerings have given me. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Maitri. And farewell to Ananea. No, not yet. Okay. So, okay, one more person who'd like to speak, and then I know we had some video messages from some of our friends.
May I speak?
Yes, please.
So, thank you for the opportunity to express my gratitude. This was a period when the theme came up, Stop the War. There was actually a physical war going on. So I was very curious to listen to what Ayasobana has to say. And it actually turned out that she pointed out the war that is going on very close to our heart, the war between the wholesome and the unwholesome. So throughout the Vasa period, all the teachings, sutta study that was discussed was pointing out and drawing from the wisdom of the Buddha, the tools and the strategies to deal with all the difficult situations that we encounter during our day-to-day life. I found those very helpful, and actually during some instances where I was mindful enough to apply those, I actually experienced the kind of peace that I would not have otherwise. So I believe this is the ongoing practice, and it is a teaching for lifetime. And I want to offer my gratitude for the teachings to Ayasobana, Aya Brahmavara, and all the venerables, and to all our Zoom friends for sharing their experiences. And those really helped too, because there was so much we could learn from each one's experiences. So very thankful for these Zoom offerings. And it was beautiful to watch the Kathina ceremony online today. So thank you very much. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu. It's been wonderful to have both of you, all of you, with us this whole Vasa. And thank you for speaking today. Good to hear your voices. So we have some messages from various Bhikkhuni friends via video. I think the total length of video is about half an hour. And then Ayasudina is joining us live right after that. And I think that then would be the end of our program here. So I think that would be up next is if we could start some of the videos and I guess, I think if people do need a bathroom break or something, that's okay too. We'll have about half an hour of video and then some greetings with Ayasudina live and then. Oh, maybe now that there's not a lot of people left, we could turn around to the big screen.
May I say something? Not sure what is going on.
Yes, well, welcome. Oh, yes.
Oh, hi.
Niada, please, yes. Welcome to
Yes.
speak.
Okay, I just want to say that I'm glad to see that y'all do Zoom at that sala. I love that sala, because I do prayer every day, stay with the monastery over there. And in the evening, after I do prayer, not after I do prayer, doing walk meditation, if anybody notices, Buddha opened his eye in the evening, like about 5, 6 o'clock, if you look at his face. So I wish maybe you can do broadcast, Zoom, at Sala more often, or it's just going to be just this time?
Be the last time.
Oh, this is the last time. Going to do a Sala?
No, not the last time.
Oh, not the last time.
Maybe not every week, but we will be having events out here for a long time to come. That's the plan.
Okay. It seemed to be like it's no problem with broadcast. I mean, everything is clear and it's kind of look nice. Very nice. I mean, I'm sorry I'm late. It's just about gonna be kind of like over. Are we gonna be done pretty soon?
Yes, we're going to have some video messages from some friends for about half an hour. Some people are going out to get tea so we can comfortably watch the video.
I see.
And then we might be able to just start them actually.
Okay.
And the tea will arrive midway through. And then we'll have some greetings with Ayasudina at the end, and the whole thing will be a little over half an hour more. And you're welcome to stay or go as you wish. This is our community time to see our Bhikkhuni friends from afar.
Yeah, I would love to stay. Thank you so much.
So one message I could read out from our dear Ayatisarani in Germany, who was with us last Vasa and ordained as a Bhikkhuni last Vasa, at same time as me, my ordination twin. She was invited to join us online today, but couldn't. So she writes, Dear Venerable Ayatatthaloka, I am writing on behalf of the Sangha Siri Sampano. That's Siri Sampano Kloster is the monastery that she's founding in Germany. Yes, my German pronunciation is not great. I am being corrected by the real Austrian here. So anyway, Ayatisarani asked me to send you the message below. With kind regards and best wishes, Anagarika Supatra. Okay, so that was the cover message. Ayatisarini's message says, Dear Venerable Ayatataloka, Dear Venerable Sangha, we would have been very happy to be part of the Kathina. Now, unfortunately, several of us are sick with COVID. Two of the community are slightly more affected. Nevertheless, we think of your community and regret that we cannot participate. We are very happy to see the Sangha in Dhammadharini happy and in harmony, and that's what we wish for in the future. It is so important that there are nuns in the world. May the Sangha live in harmony and be stable and grow. For awakening from ignorance, one needs role models. The beauty of the Sangha, when the Sangha lives in harmony, supported with wisdom, humble and with compassion, is a blessing for the world. With gratitude and benevolent kind regards, Bhikkhuni Tisarini. So, sadhu sadhu for that message. Happy to hear from her and sending blessings to their community for their swift and easy recovery from COVID. Aha, and now I see Aya Adimoti for our next greetings. Yes, seem to be having technical difficulties here. Right. Yes, a computer that's designated for running the audiovisual system is on my the longer part of my audiovisual wish list. Not the first priority, but at some point we might need that. Okay, we'll try a different video and see if we can come back to Adimoti later.
And greetings, everyone. This is Aya Palaniani speaking, abbess of the Anenja Vihara Buddhist nunnery in Germany, in Bavaria. Presently, I'm talking to you from my mom's place. I'm visiting my mother presently, since the Vasa time is already over. And I just want to share my appreciation with all people out there who support bhikkhunis. And we have finished our Vasa time, and we have been so well supported and well visited also. And now I am happy to relax a little bit after a time with a lot of visitors and a lot of things to do. We had our robe offering ceremony already. We are not yet able to do a Kathina ceremony, but I do hope that we will be able to do that next year, because this year is my 12th Vasa and my 13th year in these robes. And so I will be able to be a Pavatini. And we had thought to do a Bhikkhuni ordination this year and one next year, but yeah, it is quite a thing to do and for us to organize. So we decided it will be much better when we do everything next year. So next year, I hope to see you, some of you in Germany, for our Bhikkhuni ordination, which should happen on the 2nd of July in 2023. And it's the date is basically fixed, but how we do it, all the organizational stuff is not yet done. But what we do is that we dedicate all the Bhikkhuni ordination and some of the other celebrations that we will do for the 100th birthday of Ayakema, of her anniversary. So next year on the 25th of August is Ayakema's 100th birth anniversary. She died already, so we are not able to celebrate with her together, but we have the Buddha house and friends from the Buddha house, and the Buddha house actually is quite close to our monastery, and we're friends with those people there, and we would like to celebrate that together. And I will at some point send you an invitation to join in and to celebrate with us. But this is all not yet organized and not yet fixed. But just to let you know that we are working and we're preparing, and we had COVID in our monastery, so some of us have the feeling that we need a break. Not all of the nuns. We were 6 nuns. We are actually 6 nuns, but one of us, Jyotinara Samaniri, is still in Cambodia. She will return next April. And then the Bhikkhuni ordination will be for 4 Samaneris. There are presently 4 Samaneris at Anenja Vihara who will be ready to take the Bhikkhuni Upasampada next year. So, yeah, a little bit informal. I want to extend my greetings and my loving kindness and my respects also to all of you. My heartfelt appreciation for all you do for the Bhikkhu and the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Many, many blessings to you. Be well.
Yes, 4 Samaneris at once. Currently 2 Bhikkhunis, 2 to 6 is a big jump. So thing, but I understand why they want to organize that well.
Respects to the Sangha there at the Dhammadharini Kathina. This is Ayumi Annika. I am recording this at the Montreal Airport baggage claim carousel number 3. it's after Vasa, and some of us are from different monasteries out traveling now. I was at Dhammadharini as an aspirant, as an anagarika, as a novice, and for the first 2 years as a bhikkhuni. And then I moved to Lokavahara, where I've been for 3 years. So now I'm about to embark on 30 days of retreat, which is why I'm not there at the Kathina with you. It's a real blessing. Just before this, I was visiting Empty Cloud Monastery in New Jersey, and I had the good fortune to be there at the time that they had a deer being die. The monastery cat Stan, also known as Ajahn Metta, and to be there for the passing of a dear living being just reminded me of just before going into monastic life, I'd had the opportunity to go on retreat as an attendant for a bhikkhuni, and she had to cancel because she was dying. And what a reminder it is for me as I go into retreat, the urgency, the how short the time is that we have. So I just appreciate all of the ways that the teaching comes to us, and that I'm getting to carry that forward into retreat now. And I also want to express appreciation for all of the supporters that make it possible for monastics to do retreat, to live at monasteries, to have vasas, and now have a Kathina there at Dhammadharini. So for all the support that you've given, Anumodana. And let's see, how do I pay respects to the Sangha? Half an Anjali, half an Anjali. There. May this Kathina season be a blessing.
Hey, wishing safe travels and wonderful retreat to Ayani Annika.
Welcome to you on this beautiful Kathina day after the end of Vasa 2022. My name is Aya Sudhamma Mahateri, and I'm calling in to you from Charlotte Buddhist Vihara, my hometown, Charlotte, North Carolina. I met Ayatata Aloka in 1994. At that time, there were 4 Theravada Bhikkhunis in the States. Sri Lankan born Aya Sudarshana in Florida, Thai born Aya Gotami in Boston area, me then in South Carolina, and Ayatata Aloka in California. And Ayati and I really kind of bonded with phone calls, emails, occasional visits. She visited me first in 94. I visited her many times after that. And I managed to be present for many, if not all, of the most pivotal moments in the development of Dhammadharini. But all along the way, I'm always cheering on this wonderful community that came together around Tata Aloka and then her nun companions over the years. So I visited her in the little tiny cabin she had at Wat Fremont. I visited her just before she was about to move into a lay woman's home to start her own kind of place. That fell through. She then started the 2005 Vasa with what was going to be my companion, with a nun I'd brought over from Germany. Aya Suchenta. I went with my blessings, of course, to help Ayati co-found Dhammadharini there in Fremont. They have that little house. Just along the way, I have gotten to be present. My paint strokes are there among many other people's on one wall of the Sonoma vihara right now. It was my suggestion. No one else remembers this, so you just have to take my word for it. It was my suggestion after the camping trip. I was there for the ordination ceremony on Jill's land that led to Jill saying, this might be an option for the long-term stewardship of this forest. And then we Bhikkhunis had a camping Bhikkhuni training session for a week or 10 days there in that forest, Jill's forest at that time, Dharma Creek. And it was not easy washing our clothes in the creek anyway. But we were very inspired. I learned aspects of formal aspects of the training that still I call certain skills I call upon even today in that one week of training, 10 days of training. At the end, we were all chattering together very happily, and I said, "Hey, let's all stay in the forest for Vasa next year." Again, no one else remembers this, but I'm claiming it. Everyone just went, because it was immediately clear this is what we were going to do. I was not part of the heroic efforts to make the forest habitable between then and the next Vasa, but I did waltz in and claim a camping spot and participate in that. And I did the reciting of the motions for the ordination at the end there. Okay, so I'm just saying, I've been around watching from afar, cheering you folks on, and you folks have cheered me. Seeing your growth, your success of Dhammadharini, including Aranya Bodhi, it's just meant the world to me. Now, we grew obviously from our first 4 Theravada Bhikkhunis. Somebody would come in from overseas, somebody would be from a small kind of isolated community and go into robes, and we would just run into people at a conference or learn from word of mouth that, oh, there's another person in robes, there's another one among us. And it was IAT that kind of led the way in sort of creating a sort of a gelling, a sense of communion among these people from different Buddhist Theravada lineages, different backgrounds, different expectations, different teachers, different ways of doing Vinaya. Those of us who are really kind of loyal to the idea of having a Vinaya-based life, we really just kind of pulled together with her kind of a guidance in a way. And so we do now have a sense of a Bhikkhuni Sangha across the continental America. We have, I'm not going to even guess the number, more than 50, I'm sure, pretty sure, Bhikkhunis plus junior nuns. And yeah, we meet by conference call twice a month. Like we actually have that kind of, that much cohesiveness to do even that. Seeing you folks grow, seeing you folks thrive as a community of lay people with your own practice and your willingness and enthusiasm to support monastics, the way the Buddha said to do, and the monastics themselves growing in number, growing in wisdom, growing in strength. This has heartened me so much over the years, probably more than the growth of any other community, just really getting to see it and be a little part of it from a distance. And, you know, this past Vasa, all kinds of change and upheaval happening. You folks somehow have not only survived all these changes, but continue to manage to thrive. And it means the world to many, many people, even at a great distance. The news out of Aloka Vihara of their coming, you know, impending dissolution, because the conditions are just too harsh there, that would absolutely crush me. They're such a beautiful community. Were it not for, they're kind of our other jewel in the States, were it not for the strength of Dhammadharini at this time. So I thank you for that. My own Vasa this year has been very, very meaningful. For many years, I've lived on my own, and that's hard. It gets harder each year, not easier in a way. For the past more than a year, I've had blessings of companionship. And this past Vasa, I had the amazing blessing of the companionship of the one Vasa Bhikkhuni, Ayat Sada of Cambodia. Many of you will have met her at the recent ordination. One of the finest people I've ever had the honor and privilege of teaching and hosting. So that has been such a blessing. She has kept my meditation hall warm and lovely all the time, day in, day out. And right now there's dishes sitting in the sink that haven't magically disappeared, which tells me that, yeah, she definitely did leave this morning, going back to her home monastery. During this Vasa, we made some strides forward towards purchasing this rental house. This is Charlotte Buddhist Vihara. This is the shrine room that you're seeing behind me. We've been renting it for 9 years, and we had the opportunity to purchase, but there have been delays all along for about a year now. We had a firm closing date for October that people's calendars just didn't work out, and now it's set back to November. So it didn't happen during the Vasa as I'd counted on. And now our landlord has changed the terms to something a little more challenging. The interest rates, with the bigger picture, things changed, and the interest rate is quite different now. And I have a doubt about what can happen with it that I didn't have before that news last month. So yes, so I'm hoping that people enthusiastic to see this little place continue to be a refuge and for bhikkhunis and a place of Dhamma dissemination and practice will step forward to make it happen, even with more difficult terms. During this Vasa, my 95-year-old mother moved from my family home, which is about 1.5 miles from here, from this Vasa. I had been the person to be attending to her, most of the time, my relatives being out of state. And so, she had some falls that were, emotionally, that was heavy. Now she is in assisted living, which took a lot of that pressure off of me. So yay, but it's a beautiful place. However, I am now using her car, driving across town, multiple times a week to support her there. And she left behind a cat, a feral cat that needs someone to feed it every day. So that's been a thing. It's continuing a thing. This Vasa is also significant for me because this is my 20th Vasa. Not my 20th year in robes, but my 20th Vasa, 23 or so years in robes. So in this, I now join half a dozen Theravada Mahatheris in the West, or Western Mahatheris, I guess I could say. Now, when you have someone who's so far ahead of you in the years, when you're new at this, you want to look at that line ahead of you and see people who deeply inspire you in every way. Sometimes you get that. Sometimes you get that. My own training was preaching Dhamma. All the Bandhigunaratana students are Dhamma preachers. I've given thousands, literally thousands of sermons. But I didn't get hands-on, here's how to do the robes beautifully. Here's how to be beautiful in your ways of doing things, other than by example. But intensive training didn't happen like that for me. So you're never going to see with me the kind of polish that you see with a lot of monastics, such as at Dhammadharini or Lokavihara. People trained up, even new nuns being trained up by the likes of Ayatata Loka, Aya Sobana, Aya Satichitta, Aya Ananda Bodhi. Like they're more polished than this one here already, even in short time. And that does weigh on me a little bit. However, we each bring our own gifts to the world. And what I bring as a 20-year Mahatheri is the fact that this practice actually does work. When I ordained, I was an angry former attorney. I was recovering alcoholic. I was carrying a heavy weight of very volatile PTSD. And over these years, a lot of rough edges have gotten worn off that I think I could have protected from getting worn in lay life. So yes, I'm saying the holy life has done for me what just ordinary lay life probably would not have done. It's hard to know, right? But I really do think it pushed me quite a bit in ways that I could not have managed to get pushed myself without the pressures and lifestyle shaping of the holy life. I have gained skills, I've gained experience, I have lost self-hate, I've lost self-blame, I've lost self-cruelty, not necessarily in the super mundane sense, but in the mundane sense, gone. I wouldn't trade places with just about anybody because it's gotten so much nicer in here. So much nicer. I've gained kind of unconditional self-love, self-compassion, so much kindness and love that it spills over in my eyes. You can see the shining of my eyes towards you. 98% of the time, I am loving you. Those 2%, they're a doozy. The 2% where I'm just in my stuff, triggered, irritated, coming back at you. I don't know, why didn't you do da-da-da? It happens. But you know, I do have perhaps some more vasa ahead of me in which to get to work on that. I do think that that my life gets to stand for saying this Dhamma works. It is effective, even for someone like me. And the holy life works. It is effective, even for someone as difficult to work with as I have been over the years. It works and it's beautiful. Now, my friends, dear lay people, when you look upon your local Bhikkhuni Sangha and junior nuns, or nuns, Bhikkhunis, Theravada Bhikkhunis and nuns around the world, please remember that these are the ladies who have made the age-old gamble of giving up material security, such as there is in the world. Seems like we cling to it more, the less secure it is, for that gamble for spiritual security, which is at times elusive, you know. It's a path that's vulnerable and difficult, rich and rewarding. Without you, we're just homeless, hungry, discouraged, perhaps quitting. We need your material support. We need your words of encouragement. Don't go down hard on us saying we have high expectations of you. Don't do that to us. Have compassion. Give words of encouragement. Give us your prayers every day that we can do this thing, that we can realize the Buddha's promises. I want to thank you, all of you, all my Bhikkhuni sisters, my junior nuns, and all the beautiful lay people for helping me enjoy the holy life, for helping the holy life exist. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes, I think there's Adimoti we still have. Oh, Anuvidita, wonderful.
Anjali, most venerable Ayatollah Anjali, most venerable Bhikkhuni Sangha of Dhammadharini Monastery. Most warm-hearted greetings to all wonderful Samaneris, all wonderful Anagarikas and wonderful lay people and so Bhikkhuni sending you some greetings from Costa Rica, where I arrived 2 days ago together with Samaneri Rakita, which is behind the camera, so you can't see her, but she's sending her greetings. Yes, we came here for give a little bit support to the Plant Bhikkhuni project, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity to send some greetings to California. We wish you for the Kathina celebration that you have a quite auspicious day. To me, the Kathina seems a really wonderful occasion and wonderful opportunity just for the Sangha, for the community that spent this time together, just to meld a little bit more together maybe, and to exchange skills of sewing, and just also the idea to create a robe for one of our fellows, and yeah, that's wonderful. Wonderful to me. To me, it seems quite a beautiful thing that Buddha established there. And I'm very happy for the person that might receive the Kathina robe. I don't know who it will be. Maybe afterwards I will hear about that. Yes, I personally just finished my first Vasa in Ananda Vihara in Bavaria, and there we have 3 more seminaries, and well, 4 if we count also seminary Chitindara, who is in Cambodia. And for next year we are planning the Upasampada for all those 4. So, and it will be shortly before Vasa, the Upasampada. That's the plan. So we might have the possibility maybe next year also to make a Kathina in Ananda Vihara, which would be quite nice. To me, it seems quite nice. Yes, I wish you all for this auspicious day that you'll pass a wonderful day together in harmony and growing together in the Dhamma, and yes, just to have a time that's quite inspiring for each of you. Well, most warm-hearted greetings. Take much care. Bye.
She's not feeling well today. She's has an infection and she's just feeling quite ill. Is she here? She's here. Yes. Right. Yeah, so Ayasanta Chitta is asking about Ayatthaloka, who is here at Dhammadharini Monastery today, but is not feeling well. I don't know if she will make any appearance or not. I know she has been watching the Zoom and has been commenting, and so she's making her presence felt online, but it's true, we haven't seen her in person here.
So greetings to everyone from Dhammadharini Monastery in New Zealand. I'm Venerable Adimuti, and I was just to let, so for those of you who don't know already, I ordained as a Bhikkhuni in Aranya Bodhi Hermitage in 2010, together with Venerable Suvijana and Ayya Palanyani, and Ayatthaloka was my preceptor. And before that, I had my novice ordination with Ayatthaloka in Australia in 2008. So we go back a long way now. And this Vasa, Venerable Suvijana came across to New Zealand and spent the Vasa with me. So that was very auspicious. We were both together for the first Vasa at Aranya Bodhi and had our ordination together. And now we're together in New Zealand, inaugurating a new Bhikkhuni monastery. So that was very special. And I was also very happy that Venerable Sibijana had a month or so, or 6 weeks of retreat. And I myself also had a wonderful retreat time. So this was very lovely and a very auspicious beginning for our monastery here. And we also have very kind bhikkhus nearby who we went to their place and did different teachings as well as doing teachings here. So it's been a very wonderful first Vasa together. So I'm just tuning in really to share my metta and blessings with everyone, and gratitude for all of your support in making my ordination possible all those years ago, and for being together as Dhamma friends, and just to share how now we're planting a new Bodhi tree here in New Zealand and creating an environment for those who would like to follow the Bhikkhuni path in the future in this country on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. And I hope that some of you will be able to come and visit and spend some time together with us here in the future. So just to say hello to all my old friends, and also to just connect with any new friends who I haven't met yet, and just share all the blessings of this retreat time and of your time also together for the Kathina over there. So I think that's all I have to say. So anumodana to everyone. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu. I think that's the last video. Is that so? Yes. So I'd like to say anumodana to Ayatoloka, who organized for these people to send these messages. I know that's one of her real skills, is bringing people together and making connections. And it is lovely to know what's going on with the other bhikkhunis around the world. And sorry they couldn't be live so that we could express our appreciation to them in person, but glad to see all of these messages from them. Does anyone here have anything they'd like to say? We still have some people online. We still have... Oh, Ayasidina is here? Okay, great. Let's hear from Ayasidina. Welcome, Ayae. Ayasidine, are you there?
Yes,
can you unmute
I
yourself?
am.
Oh, Sadhu.
How do I get get in?
We can hear you. Camera button.
Okay,
it's
now
red.
I'm
Can you...
okay. Isn't that so?
Okay. Oh yes, there we see you. We hear you. Wonderful. Welcome.
I am back in my in my own arama now. So I'm very happy. Shall I start now?
Yes, please.
Yes. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Friends, I'm very happy to be here today, to be with you on your day of Kathina. I think you have managed to have Kathina every year and every Vasa, which is a great achievement. So we of course could not do that all the years, but we did a few, and we may do again because we are building a stupa. We had an old stupa which was crumbling, and so now we are rebuilding one and is still not completed. So friends, those of you who have taken part in the Kathina puja today have acquired a great deal of unshakable kusala kamma. It's a very joyful occasion among the activities connected with the sasana. This puja is the result of the ending of the Vassa retreat, which falls within the months of July to October. So that all of us have, I think, observed the first Vassa. That is why we are able to participate in this ceremony. Although monastics usually visit other aramas and go on tours, during the Vassa retreat, they stay in one place till the retreat is over. They try to practice and gain their own liberation within this time. This is especially important to lay people, for they provide the monastics with the 4 requirements or requisites, and they receive the Dhammadhana in return from the monastics. So it's a time of mutual benefit. I like to wish all of you, may the blessings of the Triple Gem be with you, and may this good karma bring happiness in this life and in all your future lives. Tancha kammang katang sadhu, yankatva nanu tappati, yassa pati to sumano, vipakang pati sevati. Well done is the action, is that action doing which one repents not later, and the fruit of which one reaps with delight and happiness. Thank you. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. And may this Kathina bring you happiness, joy, and fruitful spiritual happiness. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Well, Sudhina, I look forward to seeing you in a short time on
Yes,
October.
yes.
On
I'm also
November
hoping that
15th.
I will see you soon. Yeah,
Yes,
in
I shall
November.
be going to the Vihara in Greenville and staying for 1 month to give Sudhina the opportunity for a family visit that has been deferred for a long time. It's very special to me because when I was just getting started in the Bhikkhuni life, I faced many difficulties because of my bad temper, my bad emotions, and my generally not being so skillful in how to act. Although I used to think before I ordained that I was one of the nicest people I knew. When I was among monastics, I found out I was among one of the worst people I knew. And well, Sudhina saved my life. She saved my monastic life. Without her, I would not be a bhikkhuni. And so, although she wasn't part of the Sangha that was formally ordaining me when I was in Sri Lanka, more than any other individual, she is my bhikkhuni mother, and the one whom I'm just so glad that I will have this opportunity to give a small return of the favor and to help support her in this way. So sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you so
This was
much.
at the Bhavana Society. Yeah. Perhaps we could close by doing a closing arahant, and that will be the end of today's program. Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Suvakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami